the morning to have a book tour in. We've got a cruise liner in as well, so it's very busy here in the cathedral. I just got a potted story of where you're all from, basically all over the country. Yeah, all over the world.
Well, all over the globe, actually.
All over the globe, even better.
Well, some from the States, some from Czech Republic, some from Netherlands.
An extended welcome. Thanks for being here. If I give you a 5-minute history of the cathedral and then take you round and give you some of the more salient points, I want to go back just momentarily. By the way, anybody who didn't hear that, if you've got cameras filming anything, please just as we go through, feel free to use the camera as much as you like. Answer any questions at any point. I'd rather turn this into a conversation rather than a tour. So momentarily back to the 19th century, 1829, a year when Catholic life was free again in England. So basically the Emancipation Act, first time since the Reformation that we are allowed to worship in public. 1850, Rome gave us permission to re-establish bishops. So the re-establishment of the hierarchy. Between 1829 and 1850, we had a massive rise in the Catholic population of many of our towns. The industrial towns, thousands coming in from Ireland as a result of the potato famine in the 40s and just general migration. So we had an urgent need in Liverpool to build the schools first, then the churches, and in 1850 we started a cathedral some 4 miles east of where we are now. And this was going to be very similar in style to Salisbury Cathedral in the west of England with a massive central spire. Work went on for only 5 years, and we realised even then that we didn't have the funds to carry on with it. It was built as a parish church, and then the fund carried on growing. 1911, we became an archdiocese with the Archbishop responsible for all of the other Catholic bishops in the northern province. 1929, we were celebrating 100 years of emancipation, and the Archbishop Downey, felt that the time again was ripe to build. This site was chosen. It was the site of one of Liverpool's 5 workhouses, or 5 poor law institutions, and with the revision of the Poor Law Act, the site was up for sale.
What is the Poor Law Act exactly?
The Poor Law Act, basically, it was a move to actually ease the amount of poor and beggars on the streets. So rather than being given relief from the parish, they were put into workhouses, or the only means of support was to go into a workhouse where they were, basically it was slave labour. Mm-hmm. Families were separated, women's dormitory, men's dormitories, women and children and men. Horrific, grim places where you were given a meagre subsistence. Thankfully, by 1929, the poor law was scrapped, so the workhouses were up for sale. Oliver Twist times,
okay.
that type of thing. Although that would have been classed as an orphanage, but the same principle.
I was actually thinking of Scrooge myself.
Anything in that ilk. I mean, It was Charles Dickens that gave a great deal of publicity, bad publicity, for the abolition of workhouses. So this site built on one of Liverpool's poor law institutions. £110,000 we bought this site for, started work on a cathedral that was going to be second in size only to St. Peter's Basilica. We did eventually build the crypt of that cathedral, but we couldn't afford to go ahead with the full-scale design. 1959, 1960, it was decided the wait had gone on long enough. The diocese was well established. We wanted to take some incisive action. So Archbishop Heenan decided he was going to throw the whole project open to worldwide competition. And the conditions were a cathedral that could be built within 5 years. Secondly, to link the existing structure, the crypt, to that. Thirdly, built within a budget of £3-4 million, and that to include money that had already been spent on the crypt. And fourthly, it had to capture the spirit of renewal. The Second Vatican Council was to happen in the 1960s. And this whole spirit of renewal, how can we have a cathedral that speaks Second Vatican Council, that speaks to people, that encourage that intimacy of worship among people? A circular design wasn't essential, but we thought we'd try it. So we've achieved a cathedral from 1967, built by Sir Frederick Gibbard. Basically, 2,300 people can all be seated within 60 metres of the high altar. The altar itself, under that cover, a snow-white block of marble from the former Yugoslavia, symbolic of Christ without sin. The altar itself, the candlesticks, the crucifix by Elizabeth Frink, all designed to give an unobtrusive view of that altar from wherever we're sitting, everybody part of that circle of worship. Let's start a tour. Let's go around this way. So the key features that we have, I'd just like to point out this ambo, or lectern, from which we proclaim sacred scripture, the word of the Lord, the gospel of the Lord. And Sean Rice produced this very topical, local piece of work. So you have the liver birds, or the seabirds, ascending from the spumes of the waves, their beaks open in awe and reverence to receive the word of the Lord. Let's carry on just a bit further.